Hi, I'm North. This is my channel, North and his books, and this is week 10 in my never-ending vlog on my journey to full fluency in 10 languages. Last week I spoke about essentially how I've been doing a lot of Russian, and I've still been doing that. However, I've begun to shift more to speaking it than just reading it and listening to it. So I've tried to be a bit more active, although to be honest, I have never really tried to write anything in Russian, and I'm not sure when I will start doing that in the future. And so I've basically been doing a bunch of lessons on italki. I missed a couple of them because essentially working very late with other things into the night, and then the teachers are in Siberia, so then I wake up, and then for them it's 5 p.m. For me it's 7 a.m. and then I've completely missed a lesson because I sleep in. But little road bumps aside, I've been working very hard on it, and I do see sort of a bit of progress. So I went a period of about 4 weeks where I didn't speak at all in Russian, and I only learned new words, and I read a lot of pages, a lot of hundreds and thousands of words. And most people would think, well, that will make you better at reading, not necessarily better at speaking or forming a sentence in any way, because you're not practicing that. But I found that the very first lesson that I had back after over a month without speaking Russian, I was better than I was at the last lesson that I had, which was when I had been speaking Russian more often. Essentially, simply seeing so many of these words that I kind of knew over and over again in texts, on YouTube videos, in books, on websites, and so on, helped push them further into my head, and then I was able to use them naturally. And at the same time, the words that I've recently been adding, and I use Anki, so I've been adding them to Anki, that I found in books or on websites or whatever that I didn't understand, are really at this point words that are very uncommon, like a word for magpie, which is a kind of bird, or yet another way of saying to get drunk, which is like the 7th most common way you might describe someone as drunk, for example. So we're really going far down on the list in terms of priority of knowing these words. Maybe knowing every single way to say someone's drunk is important for a lot of people. I suppose it is for me too, to be honest, but I'm going all the way down that list of priorities, and I'm getting to the point where there are still so many words I don't know, but they're starting to run out. They're starting to be quite thin, and I can open up a book, and I have a number of books, for example, behind me, like this one, by someone called Amfiteatrov, who wrote a number of stories about 100 years ago. So he's pre-Soviet. And these books are not as famous as Tolstoy, Chekhov, Crime and Punishment and all that, but they are still well regarded in the Russian literary canon, and they're also quite difficult for a learner of the Russian language. I mean, he uses a lot of specific words and somewhat outdated expressions and so on. So I'm reading through, I have a whole collection of his stuff there. I have another one that I'm reading through a little bit every night. And I can see that although it's still extremely difficult to understand what's going on in the story, I'm starting to get there. I'm starting to be able to piece together all those little words that I don't know, but I know because they're this verb, but then they added this prefix. I can kind of guess where it goes from there and so on. I kind of am starting to be able to gather more and more from context what the author's trying to say. Beyond that, in terms of the other languages, as usual, my Chinese is getting worse and worse, and I still have those 2 Chinese books, graded readers, for 2,500 and 3,000 characters, respectively, that I received for Christmas, and it's going to be until Canada Day, which, for those who aren't Canadian, is the 1st of July, before I get back into Chinese. And all those other languages, I mean, every single day I wake up, while I drink my coffee in the morning, I'm on YouTube and I have all my subscriptions, and I click and I see whichever new videos, and I choose 4 or 5 languages, and I just listen to something in them. And I've added a couple of new ones. I still need some more good Spanish language channels. especially some that are from, say, Mexico or Colombia. I have a lot of Spanish from Spain channels, and that helps, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel I'm much more comfortable with the Spanish accent as opposed to the Mexican accent or the Colombian accent. So I want to make sure that I branch out enough because obviously you want to be able to speak with everyone, right? It's not like, say, with German where the standard high German accent is used by a vast majority of those that speak the language natively, and that those with the sort of Alpine accent from the south are more of a minority. Here, I mean, there are so many different Spanish-speaking countries that I want to make sure that I can actually understand normally people from Spain as well as from northern Latin America and southern Latin America. I think that's about it. What else do I have to say? It is incredibly difficult to continue to add new words to one's Anki over time. I'm a huge user of Anki. I use it every single day at midnight. My reviews reset. That's when the day starts for me. And every single day, I'm at the point where, for example, I haven't added a German word to my Anki in a long, long time. And I have about 10,000 cards in my deck. But there's a certain number of reviews that I still have to do every single day simply because there are so many cards, even though they have a very long interval between each repetition at this point, because I have a high degree of knowledge of these words, there are enough any given day that it does add a bit of effort to my reviews. And if I get to that point in Italian and Spanish and yada, 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 eventually it does start to drain on you. And I sort of have Anki vision at a certain point where you have the white background with the text on it. And when I close my eyes, I keep seeing myself clicking the green and the red buttons, and it kind of makes me dizzy. It reminds me when I was 16 and I played a lot of Guitar Hero, and I would close my eyes at night and I would see the gameplay scrolling down with the different colored buttons for me to press. It didn't help me learn real guitar in any case. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for today. Thank you very much. Until next week.